Here we are then. It's the third test between India and England, day 2, and it's Ask George.
I love to think that Honey is a ventriloquist and you're the dummy. The only bad thing about that is I don't like the idea that Honey's got her paw up your ass. I don't even know why I went there. But I think it would be that. Look at her. She's lovely.
She looks a bit like Big Bird, we're thinking.
Joel Garner.
Very good.
Very she good really indeed. Does.
But when she's haircut, she looks a bit like Big Bird from Sesame Street.
So I never read the comments on YouTube, but Huw here, bless him, sent some to me today. Thanks for that. Are people even going to be nasty about Honey?
No, I've never seen that. No, to be fair.
You'd have to be a mean-hearted.
We lacked our usual chemistry, apparently, yesterday.
What?
We lacked our usual chemistry yesterday, apparently, was one person said.
It's very Ross and Rachel, isn't it? Will they, won't they? They won't. They really won't.
Ross and Rachel, just finished watching that drama series One Day. Oh, well, I mean, I mustn't give away any spoilers, but my word. What else was I going to say to you? Oh, yeah, they said that they were glad you'd lost your suitcase, weren't they, or something?
Well, the thing I find weird about it is you could do anything on the internet. You could research the impact of polyester on South Vietnamese immigrants in Cardiff. You could learn knitting patterns, and that's wonderful. You know, there's something for everybody. But what seems really weird is to find something you don't like and comment on it. It's like if I get tickets to the theatre and stand up and go, I'd rather be at the football. It was meant. What? Anyway, I'm always terribly impressed with people who have strong opinions in fake names.
Oh well, that's a good point.
Brave.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Though. I mean, if you you can try and mold something more to your liking, and I suppose if you stay quiet about it, then people don't. You'll never affect change, will you? I mean, like
I said before.
Well, like your favorite television program. I mean, if you just it's gone in a direction that you don't like, and you just stay silent, then I suppose
What do people want their money back?
No, you just say, "Oh, well, I don't like the directions of travel for the program, and I'd like it to go back to how it used to be." And or how about this? And then
this is an insight into your world. So this is you on Doctor Who fan sides.
Well, just say hypothetically. I'm not saying any particular program.
Do you do it under a pseudonym?
No, I don't agree with pseudonyms. No.
Right, I think it's a bit pathetic. But look, to be honest, I don't look at YouTube comments because I listen to music on YouTube, and you see things like that. People could listen to what's a band that everyone likes? Madness, Beach Boys. I don't know, and people will even be nasty about that. So I don't look at YouTube. But if people want to engage, I will engage with almost everything I see on Twitter. So if people want to talk or criticize, I'll listen up to a point on Twitter. But I don't need to be shown negative comments.
Everybody says that Twitter is a cesspit or sewage or something.
I found it okay, really. Honestly, there were a couple of comments yesterday, and there's no point going into it, that shocked the hell out of me. Were genuinely the lowest class I've ever read.
What, on YouTube?
No, on Twitter.
Right.
I only see the YouTube stuff that you send me. And usually it's about how good you are.
Oh, that's why I look, yeah.
You? Well, I don't know.
It's 3-1.
Actually, don't we? It's funny that people sometimes say we're people. What was the other thing that people said? We look as if we've been together too long and are really irritated or something. Well, whatever you think, we get on great and very much enjoy going for a beer together, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, it might be that we've had a long day at Lord's or something, and we're tired or something. Yeah, but not with each other. I don't think. No. I mean, if you are feeling tired, then of course you can look at these videos that we're doing every day during the 5-test series.
Every day. This is masterful. The way you're doing this now.
Yeah, and you can submit your questions
before, but now it's just so natural. I think you can buy. You can buy a subscription to the Digital Cricketer for $3.99. It's. They always say it's less than a cup of coffee, but I don't know where you're buying coffee. That seems like. But anyway, it's less than a pint.
It is. I think we said this last time, but it's £4.10 for a latte, large latte down the high street. Although
£7 for a pint in the Plough in Birmingham.
Yeah, if you buy 10, though, if you buy 9, you get the 10th free, so it actually works out about £3.60 for a coffee. So,
I sometimes wonder whether the Plough misses me. I wonder whether their profits are down.
Is that where you meet Paul Smith and Nick Knight and all these other people?
Well, Nick lives in Bury St Edmunds, and he's here now.
Oh, he's a Suffolk boy like me, right? Okay.
Yeah, well, because he came from Essex originally, didn't he?
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah,
I do meet Paul there, and Trotty.
He went to the dog wants to go outside. He went to Felsted, didn't he? Nick Knight.
We've bored Honey.
Yeah, she said enough whining. Go on, off you go. Go on.
I don't blame her. That's basically our audience.
Right, you should have crack on. I've exposed the fact
that she's going on YouTube to comment. Rubbish. He's lost more luggage.
I've exposed the fact I'm wearing tracksuit trousers underneath the desk. Right, what else do you say? Videos every day during the 5-test series. You can submit your questions via our social media channels at any time during the test using the hashtag #AskGeorge. Remember, you can read all of George's exclusives from England's tour of India and more by subscribing to the Cricketer's digital offering for only £3.99 a month. Just follow the link in the video description. Right. Now, Mr. Riley.
6.5 minutes in.
Okay, right. Mr. Riley,
inquiries. We haven't done the intro. Anyway, we have done the intro. Come on, let's talk about terrific day's cricket.
It's the longest intro yet. And Mr. Riley, our social media chieftain, has compiled the questions, and the first one is from Will Cooling.
Hello, Will. He's a very nice man.
Okay. And he says, "What is this witchcraft?"
That is really well put. I mean, today was preposterous. I just think anyone with any sort of memory of English cricket, in almost every era, England having conceded 450 on a turning wicket in India would have been timid and defensive and cautious, and it would have gone horribly. And today, it was just, they came out and blasted runs. And there was nothing lucky at all about Ben Duckett's innings, really. It was just brilliant. It was just, I thought today was a great innings. I honestly think that was, I mean, you don't need to compare and contrast, really, but I thought it was as good in its different way as Ollie Pope's innings. And I think we all agree that was pretty special. And it was another day when you just think, wow, this series is brilliant. It just keeps giving. So a really special innings. It's kept England in the game. Long way to go, eh? But India did look a bit rattled, and any team would have done. I thought he played brilliantly because it wasn't, Bumrah bowled as well as he bowls. He bowled brilliantly. And Duckett just kept taking it on, and I thought it was a really, really terrific innings and an amazing achievement for a fella who the last time England played at Rajkot didn't look as if he could play Ravi Ashwin to save his life. And Duckett has matured and learned his game so much better. It's just so much better player. And of course, I don't know if there are questions about this, but it's fair to credit the England environment, the current England environment, for getting the best out of him. It's obviously done that. But yes, another special day's cricket in a series that just keeps giving.
Well, Duckett's scoring at 6.5 and over, isn't it? And it begs the question, why past? I mean, baseball, I don't like the one size fits all kind of we're going to save Test cricket because I do think there are other ways of playing the game, as you talked about yesterday. But yes. Duckett's scoring at 6.5 and over, and it just beg the question, why in the past, a team will have scored 174 in 90 overs or something. And you think, well, if you try and score at 6 and over, you're going to get out because you're going to chance your arm and take risks. It's just an oxymoron, this approach, isn't it? It's just defying logic. It's defying science, isn't it?
Well, I think all these changes to the game are probably incremental. And T20 was a bit of a leap. But when T20 started and batters started to play different shots, they maybe learned more about what their capabilities were. And, we've seen aggressive innings in the past. I mean, that Gilbert Jessup record is from 1902, remember? It's not as if people didn't sometimes used to play terribly aggressive innings. But it is happening more often now. And I just think our attention spans changed. Batters' view of what is possible have increased. All sorts of things. Bats have changed. You know, it's not all just about mentality in T20. There's some technical stuff in there as well, isn't it? Bats have definitely changed. And also, don't underestimate how talented Ben Duckett is. I think he's really, really good. You'll remember as a 21-year-old, he scored 2,000 and something runs. He was one of those guys who won both the PCA's Young Player of the Year and their Player of the Year. I mean, it does happen, but it is quite unusual. And I thought he was going to be a star in sort of 2016 or so. When Alistair Cook, just before his debut, Alistair Cook just mentioned one day, not in a presser, but just talking to a group of us, he said he's going to play 150 tests. That's how good he is. He's a freak. And of course, life hasn't worked out like that. I think he's 29 now, and he's probably, I don't know, has he played 20 tests? And it hasn't quite worked out that way. But since he came back into the side, he's averaging 55. And, you know, bearing in mind he's played quite a lot of his cricket in England, that's a fantastic effort. Anyway, today, and he's so selfless now. He's so, you could almost write a piece about him in the field. He's so engaged. He's always alert and active and moving other people around. I think he's got real leadership potential, actually. Anyway, I thought, I do. Yeah, that surprises you, doesn't it? Look, just because he used to be a bit wild, so did Ben Stokes. I mean, so did we all. You know, you go through that, and he's come out the other side and grown up and learned what he needs to do to get the best out of himself. I thought it was a really, really special innings. I felt lucky to be there.
I wasn't thinking about any kind of like the drinking game with James Anderson or anything like that. I just hadn't heard his name being mentioned in the context of captaincy. And you know, Ollie Pope's obviously the vice captain. But yeah, no, it's interesting what you're saying about him averaging 55, because when he first came in against Bangladesh, didn't he? He struggled against Mahedi, the off spinner, didn't he? And then
Ashwin.
Yeah,
Saqib got him twice as well. But in the India series, he had 3 innings, and Ashwin got him every time. And I don't think he passed 13. And it really looked like Ashwin had him on toast. But it was more about his behaviour off the pitch. Look, I think this story's out there, so I'm going to tell you what happened. I went for after he got in trouble on the Ashes tour of 2018. I was sitting opposite Trevor Bayliss having a beer, and I said, "I think you've been a bit harsh on Ben Duckett. I think he's a really good player. There's no nastiness there. He's, you know, likes a beer, but so do you, Trevor. I mean, you know, I think you've been a bit harsh on him." And Trevor's a pretty easygoing guy, and he jerked his head forward and, "Oh, do you? Oh, you think we've been harsh, do you?" And he told me this story about a time that they'd been on a plane, either in Bangladesh or India, and Ben Duckett had been in the seat behind him and had been so hungover that he threw up. And it bounced off the wall of the plane and onto Trevor's head. Now, if you throw up on the England coach, you're not doing yourself the best chance, are you? You're not giving yourself the best chance. And... you know, he wasn't giving himself the best opportunity to be the athlete that he's become. And I think he's learned those lessons and he's grown up, and it's brilliant they've given him another chance and he seized it. I think we're all grateful for second chances sometimes, aren't we?
Ben Duckett. Right. Okay. Next question from Danny.
Very good.
Thank you. You could certainly just do the headlines to the Daily Express. Danny says, what time will England declare tomorrow?
Well, I don't know that they should. I mean, first innings runs are at a premium, aren't they? It's going to be a lot easier to bat in the first innings. Hey, if England could bat into day 4, I think they should. They won't, will they? They'll think, no, they should, at least until the close, because the only time that it's at all helpful to bowl is first thing in the morning. The temperature here changes massively from like 9:30 to 2:30. It doubles, I think. Anyway. So I would bat, if they can bat all day, they should bat all day.
I suppose I don't know why I raised my eyebrows, really, because that's traditional thinking, but I just have become slightly indoctrinated by the funky tactics.
That is a worry. That is a worry. You know, Ben does love a declaration, but also he's smart. He's smart as hell, isn't he? And
Well, the equivalent would be declaring with 10 overs to go tomorrow night, wouldn't it? Right, that would be the
And in normal circumstances, you can see where a side might do that, but it's not like the weather's.
Yeah, I'd like you. I'd go on as long as you can. Yeah, but I suppose
would hear. It made a lot of sense when he did that in Mount Maunganui and the lights came on and Stuart Broad started to nip it around. But I wouldn't do that here. No, I'd try and get a lead, and if that meant, to be honest, batting into the fourth day, I'd do that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Banu Prasad asks, where do you rate this Duckett innings? Not just the skills shots, but under the pressure it put India under. I mean,
top draw.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't need to choose and say which is best and stuff. But was it better than Pope's? I don't know. It's very different. It was more in control than Pope's. Pope's was sketchy at times, but the ball was doing much more, much trickier wicket. Top draw. It's a strong thing to say. It was as good as it gets. I really couldn't praise it enough.
Okay. Neil Allen says,
Huw, just to put it in perspective, sorry, because I think I was a bit general. Ravi Ashwin is the most successful bowler in history to left-handers. Test cricket, yeah? That's a fact. He's an off-spinner who murders left-handers, including Duckett previously. And he hit him out of the attack. Bumrah comes on, and Bumrah's bowling about as well as Asima could bowl. And I know these things all sound like hyperbole, but they're not. Bumrah's a brilliant bowler. And he took him on. He scored a run of ball off him. No, it was special today. It was really, really special. In a series that keeps giving us special things. Brilliant.
And Bumrah, a bit of a cramp. Was it just cramp? Was it just to alleviate the fears? There was something. Physio came on, did he, at the end?
Don't know. Sorry.
No, don't worry. I mean,
Siraj hurt himself when he was batting and looked like he was gone, didn't he? But a miraculous recovery. I don't know, actually. I'm sorry. May have had my head down.
I thought the physio might have come on, and we were worried. People were worried it was an injury, but I think it might just be cramp. I might have got it completely wrong, of course. I was watching. Right. Anyway, Neil Allen says, my mate Ed, a Kent fan, is adamant that Crawly and Duckett are the best opening partnership in England history on account of the fact that they score runs quickly and are entertaining. Do you agree? Goodness.
Well, I think that's a bit over the top, but they're doing terrifically well. Okay, so to put it in perspective, they've got 4 half-century stands in 5 innings in this series. There had been 4 half-century opening stands of 50 or more from any opposing teams in India from 2018 to the end of 2023. It's incredible what they've done.
Yeah.
They're setting the tone. They work for this team. I mean, I think, if you look at, Sutcliffe and a million people who have gone before, I would be very loath to go that far. I mean, the opposition opening pair have contributed 3 centuries between them this series. England's have contributed 1. So, easy. But they're doing, I don't want to sound as if I'm doing them down. They're doing brilliantly. You're right.
I think Cook and Strauss had formidable figures, didn't they? And I remember Gooch and Atherton being very good together for a while.
No doubt. I mean, I think Atherton only played 1 test in India, didn't they? Anyway, they're very different. Who knows? But I don't know how Gooch. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a bit premature for that.
I made myself look stupid at lunch once. I was trying to impress him, and I said, talking about captaining in India, and he said, I never captained in India Turbo. Everybody was like, oh, of course he didn't, Turbo. God's sake, There we go. Sunday Telegraph.
I can't help noticing that there were 3 trophies behind you yesterday, and it's almost like you had to take them back to the shop where you borrowed them from to make it look like you had won something.
I couldn't be bothered to brag today. I'll show you my trains instead if you want. I'm taking them to the shop in a minute to get.
Definitely didn't ask that.
Right, yeah. No, I've taken them. I put them back in their rightful places today. Yeah. Right, next one. Background noise. Would the likes of Ben Duckett have been as successful under a different captaincy coaching regime?
Well, they weren't, were they? So that's a really fair point to raise. I think I've mentioned it in my piece, but I think the last innings Duckett played before he was dropped in 2016 was a 15 or so ball duck in Vizag. And if you remember, Alistair Cook had said, sort of demanded the team block the hell out of it to try and battle for a very unlikely draw. And that just didn't bring the best out of him. That would have been fine to say a Compton or something, or Hamid, who was playing, of course. But it didn't work for Ben Duckett. But I think good leaders probably embrace alternatives and see that different methods work for different players. And, maybe we'll look back and think that this leadership is a wee bit one-paced, but they're pretty bloody impressive. I mean, Vish, I think, was writing something today on different captains, and he asked me how I thought Stokes compared with Brearley. And Brearley's obviously a bit before my time, really, but I don't think there's any comparison. I think Stokes is in a different class. I think he's the best I've seen. Is that strong?
Well, Brearley was slightly just a year or two before my time, but obviously his ability to lift both of them off the canvas and resurrect him was incredible. I don't know, and and he had a degree in people. This is the old cliche Rodney Hogg said. I mean they're similar, I guess, but I suppose the Stokes leads from the front, doesn't he? And his innings at Lords and Headingley in 2019.
He leads them everywhere. I think Mike would be the first, fellow cricketer columnist, of course, would be the first to say he wishes he could do what Ben could do on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Mike Brearley was in any way not a super captain.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'm sure he was a more eloquent person, but I think that there is an inspirational quality in Stokes, which is really, really special.
Yeah.
And a piece I wrote the other day, I think the fact that he's been through the hardship he's been through has made him this well-rounded fella who understands, as I said the other day, it's not his strength that's impressive, it's his fragility. And I think that he obviously could do things with bat and ball that can lead by example, which obviously Mike couldn't. What did he average? 23 with the bat. And I think 22 was it? No.
I don't know. I think.
He obviously was a very, very fine player, but he wasn't able to translate it to test level. And because of that, you could argue kept a better batter out of the side. You would never argue that with Ben Stokes, would you? It's not like he doesn't warrant selection. So, I think he's incredible. Very, very impressive leader. I
think Strauss was a good sort of businessman, wasn't he? You can imagine him sort of being CEO of a business and sort of working out what people do best, and so forth, and making kind of clinical, logical decisions. I think Ray Illingworth is very good at getting the best out of people, calming Jon Snow down a bit and motivating Jeff Boycott. But Stokes is right up there, isn't he? We'll have to dust down our greatest England captains feature that we had in the Cricketer a few years ago and update that, I think, at some stage, won't we? Right now, who have we got now? We've got Ben Rigby. Sorry, somebody's just shoving loads of posts through the letterbox. Might be my Cricketer magazine actually arriving. Ben Rigby says, is a 5-run penalty enough of a disincentive for fair play breaches? Feels a bit antiquated in the modern game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben. I don't think it is enough. What can I say? I don't know what would be enough, but 10, 20, maybe 10 for the first one, 20 for the second.
But potentially scuffing.
I think that if today had been an England player penalised, it would have been a much bigger deal in the media. Certainly my social media would have been a lot more toxic. I know to some extent, I think most teams do it and would push the margins and to some extent should. But in the circumstances of this game, with a pitch that you expect to deteriorate, India having batted first, I think the umpires are probably right to keep an eye on it. And if anything, I think they're a bit lenient. Yeah, I thought it kept happening.
Okay, last one. Ed Moss asks, are India missing Kohli's personality even more than his batting? They haven't seemed quite at it at times in this series.
Yeah, good observation, I think. Not more than his batting. He's a pretty special batter, right? But yes, he is a fighter, a competitor. And they have at times looked just a little bit rattled. But it's all very well. If players come at you like this, like Pope did in Hyderabad and Duckett did here, it's all very well to criticise the captain. It's blooming hard. I think the bowlers, you've got very experienced spinners, Ashwin in particular. And I was a bit surprised his reaction seems to be to bowl quicker, 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 get angrier and angrier. He's a very experienced bowler. I don't know. Maybe he could have benefited from a deep breath and a moment and a bit more variation. And, maybe Virat would have encouraged the more aggressive approach, actually. Maybe he'd have been the worst thing in the world for them. But, any team would be better with Virat Kohli in it, wouldn't it? Just the fact that he's an absolutely fantastic batter and a very competitive fella, brilliant fielder. It's a shame he's not here. There's no doubt about it, but he'll be back. I don't know. I don't want to go big on sort of Rowett not being a great captain. I think that England have made opposition captains look as if they didn't have answers a few times. I know some people don't like to give England any credit, but there is something a bit special going on here. It is unique. It is different. Maybe it's only incrementally different, but England are scoring at a rate that no team has ever done before. Look it up. It's a fact. And it is very difficult to captain, I think. What you have to hope as a captain is that the batters play these high-risk shots and one of them won't turn up, won't come off. And that's completely reasonable. You just, it's like Stokes putting fielders out for the hook trap and a batter keeps hitting it for four. Some days that will happen. But on this occasion, Duckett didn't make any mistakes, did he? Very difficult to captain against. I wouldn't have too much criticism of Rowett. I quite like his calmness. And he's got a very, very good attack, and this series isn't over. But how brilliant that we're basically at the halfway stage of the series and we don't know what's going to happen next. That's all we want, really. It's been about entertainment, and this series keeps on giving us loads.
Lovely stuff. Well, we're coming in at about 28 minutes like we were yesterday, so I think it's time to round it up.
Sleep well.
Have a good weekend.
Anyone listening?
Yeah, have a good weekend. I won't see you again this test, but I'll see you next test. Hopefully.
Okay.
Okay.
Very nice.
Right. Enjoy.
Soon. Thanks for the questions.
No worries. Oh, not me. I didn't give you the question. Well, I sort of read them, but yeah. Right.
Just press stop.
Cheerio.